finding out when the exploit was published, Android had that patched within 4 days, which was really good to see. The exploit itself is just a failed check of the netlink messages and where they came from. Did they come from the kernel or did they come from user space? So we took this and we patched it, or not patched, I'm sorry, we packaged this exploit back into JNI code to run within an APK so that we could test this on a lot of different phones. So who's vulnerable to this? We ran this APK that would root a phone and added a connect back shell to it. It turns out that currently every flagship phone of every major carrier in the US is vulnerable to being rooted by this right now. I would like to point out that it is fixed in 2.2. Any devices that we tried with that on it didn't work, which is good. And as we said, Android has patched this within days of finding out about it. Oops. So we feel that this is kind of creating a problem in the community. People are trying to root their phones so that they can do all this modification, and they're kind of looking at rooting this as a vehicle for that and kind of ignoring the security aspect of this, that while you have this small subset of people that want to do this to their phones, you have this larger population that have Android phones that have no interest in this, and they're sitting around with insecure phones because people in these communities don't want to divulge details on their root processes so that OEMs, carriers can't get these things fixed. So yeah, as we talked about, we know why people are modifying their phone or rooting their phones for modification. Also, another reason people are doing this is because the patching process is slow. Android is coming out with releases so fast that a lot of these OEMs and carriers that are doing a lot of heavy modification to the system, they can't necessarily port all those changes to these new releases and make sure that they're going to work. There's a lot of testing that has to go involved. Also, people are just doing this for addition of features they don't necessarily want to pay for. So what can we do about this? As a user, I mean, we've had great demonstration that using just one single permission to read logs, we would be able to steal all or most of the private data on a phone and be able to ship that off to a server and be able to communicate with that. So don't assume that a lack of permissions means that it can't actually do anything. Keep your phone patched when you have those releases. Also, as a developer, the users are trusting you with a lot of this private data. So if you're asking for these permissions to read their SMS because you want to provide some third-party SMS app, don't log their SMS for everyone else on the system to see. Just be paranoid about the kind of things that you're logging. Also, make use of the permissions that you can enforce on your activities or intents. Don't send intents with private data in them because anyone else can set up a receiver and be able to read that data. OEMs, you should be doing a lot of the same things that developers are doing as far as being careful about the things that you're logging in your changes to the system. If you guys aren't being a good example for everyone, well, I mean, why should they have to worry about what they're logging if you guys are already doing it? Also, keeping libraries and kernels and all that kind of stuff patched up to date would be a really great thing to see. So with that said, thank you everyone for coming. We'll be available in the Track 1 Q&A room for questions.